Bill, thank you. Now at 6, the intense manhunt for a suspected murderer ending in Pennsylvania tonight. We have team coverage from Erie and what authorities are revealing about the investigation.
And a Fox 8 I-Team exclusive, the emotional meeting between Steve Stevens' ex-girlfriend and the victim's family.
Plus, Stevens' video uploaded to Facebook seen by millions around the world. The role social media played in the case and the message Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg has tonight. I'm Tracy McCool.
And I'm Gabe Spiegel in for Lou tonight. Fox 8 News at 6 starts right now.
Cleveland's own Fox 8 News.
I want to officially announce that the search for Steve Stevens has ended. We're grateful that this has ended. We would prefer that it had not ended this way, because there are a lot of questions, I'm sure, that not only the family but the city in general would have had for Steve as to why this transpired.
After nearly 2 days on the run, the search for a suspect accused of murdering an innocent man, then uploading the video to Facebook, has ended. But Steve Stevens' death leaves many questions about the case unanswered.
Today, Erie police say after spotting Stevens' vehicle in a brief pursuit, Stevens was found dead. Beginning our team coverage tonight is Fox 8 News reporter Matt Wright, who is live in Erie, Pennsylvania with the latest on the investigation. Matt?
And this is where that nationwide manhunt came to an end this morning here in Erie along this street. We want to show you the police chase ended right here with Facebook killer Steve Stevens shooting himself inside a Ford Fusion towed away from the scene moments ago. Witnesses seeing it happen just after 11 o'clock.
It's like, wow, you know, and then everybody got all worked up and they said, that's a Ford Fusion from Cleveland, you know. The police were chasing them because there was like 7 or 8 cop cars behind them.
I just pulled over and got out, and then the state cops surrounded the car.
Did you have any idea this was the Facebook murder suspect?
When I got out and I seen the car, yeah.
So you recognize that Ford Fusion?
Yeah.
Skyfox over the scene along Route 20 on Erie's east side. Police say they got a tip from McDonald's employees that Stevens was in the restaurant parking lot about 2.5 miles from here. When state police responded, Stevens took off, leading officers on a chase. This ended when an officer used a pit maneuver on the Fusion. Police say Stevens took his own life as officers approached. Stevens, the focus, of course, of a nationwide manhunt since the random murder Sunday of 74-year-old Robert Godwin while he was walking on East 93rd Street in Cleveland. Police confirmed investigators had been searching for Stevens in Erie. He had a history of visiting the casino here, but it is still unclear why he was here today.
We searched that area prior. We searched that area initially on Sunday when we got that ping up in that area of Erie, PA. We were in the process today of going back and doing a more thorough search of that area, both ground and air assets, when this transpired.
And I want to show you some surveillance video obtained by Fox 8 News from a business here along Route 20 where the chase took place. You can see the Ford Fusion moving slowly, followed by several cruisers. The scene clearing now, but this investigation far from over. Now investigators will look into how Stevens got here and what he's been doing for the last 2 days before this all ended here today. Stevens, the only one injured in all of this today here in Erie.
Yeah, that's the question. Once again, some people are quite surprised that he was still driving that white Ford Fusion, and a lot of people wondering where he has been for the past 2 days and whether or not he had any help.
Right. And you have to think that he must not have been paying attention to all of the media attention to this, both nationally and locally, because there were indications he may have been in Erie. There were some reports about that ping here in this area for the last day or so. Also, of course, you couldn't miss those billboards with a description of him and that vehicle along highways all over the country. Clearly, he wasn't aware of that or just didn't care if he was caught.
Great coverage out there. Matt Wright live in Erie. Thank you, Matt. Meanwhile, tonight, in a Fox 8 News exclusive, the ex-girlfriend of Steve Stevens, Joy Lane, talks with the I-Team's Peggy Gallick.
And Peggy, we do understand that you actually broke the news to Joy that a body had been found that was believed to be Stevens. Such an emotional day.
You know, it was. And I had just finished talking with Joy Lane when the news from Erie broke. Obviously, she was very shocked. Joy wanted to set up a meeting between herself and family members of Robert Godwin Sr., who also wanted to meet with her. So we helped set it up. Two of Godwin's daughters met with Joy Lane. While we were there, as you'll see, they cried, hugged, and prayed.
The hashtags Joy Lane Massacre. I don't know if I know how to be Joy Lane anymore. I don't know how to pick up all the pieces of my world at the moment.
For the first time since her former boyfriend, Steve Stevens, murdered an elderly man and then posted the video on Facebook, Joy Lane speaks out about the ordeal and what her life has been like for the past 48 hours.
I did try to call him for people who were asking me, like, call him. I did call him. He didn't answer.
She said the two had dated for a while and even looked at engagement rings not too long ago. But she said while the two remained friends, the two mutually parted ways, and she urged Stephen to seek help for gambling issues.
The last time I talked to him was Saturday night around 9 o'clock. We talked, and he told me he had quit his job and he was leaving the state.
Lane found out about the murder of Robert Godwin Sr. when a friend called her Sunday. She was, and still is, devastated.
I've got a lot of negative comments. I've been called almost every cuss word in the book. I've been told that I'm the one who should have died. He should have killed me.
But Lane says she has also had a lot of support from family, friends, and strangers, including the family of Robert Godwin Sr.
This is my husband.
They met for the first time Tuesday.
I'm gonna hug you.
Just tell you, not your fault. We love you.
Thank you. I just really wanted to send my condolences, and I'm very sorry this happened to you guys.
We are sorry too, but not your fault.
Lane and two of the victims' daughters met for a brief time, saying they felt better being able to meet and discuss what happened.
It's hard because I feel bad. I feel, like the last thing that he would have said was my name and didn't know me or why he was saying it, and that's been difficult.
Godwin's daughters told Lane they know she is not at fault and she should not blame herself.
Our father was our rock and snatched from us, and we don't hold any ill feelings towards you, not even toward Steve. I'm angry with him, yes, but I forgive him.
After speaking for a short time, they asked for all of us to pray for healing.
We thank you for what you allowed him and my mother to put in us, Lord. We thank you, Lord, for the power of love and forgiveness, God. Thank you, Jesus. That only
The Godwin family and Lane, both stunned by the news of Stephen's death, they had all prayed that he would surrender to authorities. And we will have much more in this interview with Joy Lane and her meeting with the victim's daughter coming up at 6:30.
Hoping for the best for Joy Lane. Anytime you Google her name from now on, that's the first thing that's going to come up. So this is going to haunt her for some time. Does she have a nice network of family and friends around her to give her the support she needs now?
She does. She has a good network of family, friends, her co-workers. Her boss was there with her today. She has a lot of support, but this is very difficult, and people can be very mean on social media.
Just vicious.
And she did not have any inkling that he was capable of doing anything.
Can't even imagine what she went through.
And you talked with Steve Stevens' family today as well. How are they doing?
It's very hard for them. They've had an awful few days, and their heart breaks for the Godwin family, and they are sending their condolences, and they wanted to make sure that they knew how badly they feel.
Okay, we'll hear much more from the families in about a half hour. So Peggy, thank you for sharing. Well, just a short time ago, Pennsylvania State Police held a news conference in the case.
They also released new details about how they tracked down Steve Stevens. Fox 8's Maya Belay has been covering this story for us all day long from Erie. She joins us live once again. Maya?
Pennsylvania state troopers say this nationwide manhunt came to an end thanks to a tip here in Erie. Here's what we know so far. Troopers say a concerned citizen called in the tip early this morning. A short time later, after a search, troopers found Stevens. They tried to pull him over, but he would not stop. Shortly after, a pursuit began. It lasted only about 2 miles. Troopers were able to use a pit maneuver to stop Stevens from driving off. But as his car was spinning out of control, troopers say that's when Stevens committed suicide. No one else was hurt. We tracked down one man who spotted a white Ford Fusion early this morning at a McDonald's parking lot. He says he couldn't believe just a little while later Stevens would be dead.
Oh, it was scary. It's terrible. Like, I mean, I obviously didn't think anything of it, but at that time, he could have, just killed someone that just came through McDonald's. Like, and I could have been somewhat responsible for not calling in to the tip line or whatever. And it's scary to think about. It's just anything could happen, and then we don't know.
Now, troopers here did not say during this press conference if Stevens was being helped to avoid capture by anyone here in Erie, but of course, they're certainly glad that all this has ended and that no one else was hurt.
Boy, that's for sure. I think everybody was looking for Stevens and that white car, and once again, all coming to an end in Erie. Maya, thank you.
Meanwhile, the Fox 8 I-team taking you inside the investigation, uncovering what happened in the hours and moments that led to the end of the manhunt.
I-team reporter Ed Gallick is here with the very latest on all of this.
Following the money and relying on you. Multiple sources tell the I-team the big tip came from a fast food worker, and police knew they might find this guy in Erie. Investigators followed the money in searching for Steve Stevens. They learned he spent a lot of time at casinos here in Cleveland, around Ohio, and at this one in Erie. So no surprise to police then, the manhunt ended here in Erie, less than 10 miles from the Presque Isle Casino. But Stevens finally spotted not by the cops. Instead, multiple law enforcement sources say the big break came after a tip from a fast food worker.
Units, PSB is behind a white Ford Fusion.
The I-team has obtained police radio tapes from a short chase by Pennsylvania State Police, a chase ending when police say Steve Stevens killed himself.
Just update it just in case we can put some spikes down. All right, sounds like they're stopped, Buffalo and Downing. Looks like there's one guy down in the white car.
The end came after police had tracked countless leads from tip calls like this.
I believe I saw him driving a white Ford Fusion.
And there's a Ford Fusion with temporary tags, white one, across the street. It has temp tags. I'm just not sure if that's the one.
Meantime, while Steve Stevens was on the run, the I-team has found police did more than search for the car. They went back to the car dealer, asking about credit cards and credit reports. Following the money, looking for more clues.
Being with Joy, she drove me crazy.
The case that began with a murder on Facebook became tricky to investigate because of social media. Suddenly, fake accounts popped up for Steve Stevens. Police found themselves with no signal from the suspect's phone, no GPS to track the car. Investigators planned to go back and search again near the casino in Erie. Then this.
Main cars, take it easy going in there. You need to get all these people and vehicles out of that area.
Investigators here said officers had checked the Erie area on Sunday and they were planning to go back again for another search. Cleveland's chief didn't say specifically why, but sources close to the case and state troopers mentioned the gambling connection. Now the investigation not over yet. Police trying to retrace this man's steps. Where's he been since Sunday?
What about the reward? There was $50,000 on the line here. One would assume that it would go to the McDonald's employee who made the call.
Well, this gets a little messy. Just within the last hour, the FBI told us it never discusses who gets a reward or how much or why. Cleveland police said not clear yet. Crime Stoppers generally will take the information to the board of Crime Stoppers to decide is somebody eligible and for how much money. But this tip didn't come directly to Crime Stoppers. So your answer is not clear yet.
We don't know, and it's not that simple.
Right.
All right, Dad, thank you.